what if I told you you could truly meet with someone face to face in virtual reality? That's where the Kokomo by Canon app comes in. Huge shout out and thank you to Kokomo by Canon for allowing me to check this out early and for sponsoring this video. The Kokomo by Canon app on the Meta Quest 2 allows you to meet with someone truly face to face in virtual reality using just a Meta Quest 2 and something most people have in their pocket, a compatible mobile device. It allows you to very easily scan your face using the mobile companion app and then jumping into virtual reality for a true face-to-face meeting. The setup is super easy and it takes no time to get working. One thing to note is while you may notice some choppiness or some low frame rate in your calling experience, the Kokomo by Canon app is a first of its kind early access technology that's actually being built alongside of its community. You can actually join that Discord community at the link in the description and play a part in shaping the future of virtual reality with Kokomo by Canon. In a minute, I'll show you just how fast it is to get everything set up, but first, let's jump into VR in the Meta Quest 2 and I'll show you how simple this software really is. Okay, so once you boot up the Kokomo by Canon application, you're gonna get this good morning screen. Now we've got everything set up in the companion application. I'm gonna show you how to do that in a few minutes, but first, let's check out what this application is. They've actually used photogrammetry to bring in several really cool environments and locations you can travel to with whoever you're having your conversation with. Now, as you can see, it is using hand tracking. You can use your controllers if you want to, but it's designed to use hand tracking out of the box so that in those immersive calls, you can actually have real hand interaction or at least talk with your hands like you normally would without having to hold controllers. So let's go ahead and go through the interface tutorial really quickly just because it gives you a good idea of how things work. So you're gonna get this little bar here at the bottom. It's got a whole bunch of different options for you. You can change your environment. There's a media library. You can actually import media from your mobile device, whether it's photos or videos, put them into the 3D world and show them to whoever you're with and use it together. Connect is actually how you're going to call your contacts for your immersive calls. And there's also a mirror to see how you look in the virtual environment along with settings, obviously. Now, when you're using hand tracking and you're in a call, there's actually an in-call hand menu. By looking at your hand, you'll see a little dot fill up and you'll get this menu. You can access your media library, your environment, grab your mirror, or you can mute your audio and your video. The immersive calls in Kokomo by Canon are very similar to what you would use in a real call environment. So you're gonna have familiar options like audio and video mute. So the way this actually works is, let's close this out really quick. We'll close this. Let's open up the mirror really quick. I don't have it set up because I wanted you to see this first. But when you use the companion application, what it does is actually 3D scans your face so that it's not going to see the headset, because what you're going to do is you're going to set up the camera in front of you and it'll walk you through the entire setup process, and I'm going to go through that whole thing here in a minute. But when the camera is pointing at you, the front-facing camera, it's going to take your whole body and put it into virtual reality. So when you're seeing someone across from you and you're talking to them, you're seeing their physical, actual person, their clothing that they're wearing, their hand motions, moving around in room scale as long as they're in front of the camera of their phone. You're going to see it all, and because of the 3D scans of their face, you're actually going to see their face, not their headset. And that's what I mean by true face-to-face communication. The 3D scans are going to scan the eyes, the face. You're going to get a true face-to-face conversation, not seeing them with a headset on, actually seeing their eyes and their actual face, which blows my mind, and we'll jump into a call and show you that here in just a minute. Now, as I mentioned, there's the Connect tab. This is where you're actually going to go to connect with contacts. We've got to add some contacts in here to actually do that. You've got media, which I don't currently have media on here right now, but you can add it from your mobile device, and you can go to environment. This is what I love. So you can actually go to the Kokomo Studio. This is kind of the standard environment where you can meet up with people in this little studio environment, which is pretty awesome. And then you can also go to Malibu, which is where we just were, is in Malibu. One of my favorite ones, though, is the tea house. So here's the tea house right here. You can actually see using photogrammetry, they brought you to these 3D places, which is pretty amazing. What I love about this is, listen, you're going to get actual realistic sounds, which is really awesome. I also really like this beach one. It's a really cool place, but what you're gonna do is be interacting with people. So these environments are really cool, but the best part is actually the face-to-face communication you're gonna have one-on-one with the real person you're talking to. Having said that, let's go ahead and jump into an actual call with a real person so you can see exactly how this face-to-face communication and these immersive calls in Kokomo by Canon actually works. Let's go ahead and do it right now. Thanks again to Kokomo by Canon for sponsoring this video. I jumped into a face-to-face conversation with Don Allen III and one of the developers of Kokomo by Canon. We hopped into Kokomo together to test out this application and see just how connected and personal these face-to-face conversations felt. First thing you'll notice when you jump into one of these immersive calls is that you're seeing a kind of flat image of the person that you're talking to. The phone that is set up is actually taking a video and it's masking the body out and bringing it into virtual reality as a flat image. It's kind of like a 2D sprit, if you will. You'll see as it's trying to put the face over top of the headset. You'll also notice that the frame rate from the video translating into VR isn't like a fully smooth capture of what you're doing, but even with the kind of jerky motion, it still allows you to see the individual inside of these virtual environments. When I first jumped in, I really wasn't sure what to think, but the more we talked and the more I realized that the little nuanced interactions and movements that you make that you don't even realize you're doing, whether it's rolling up your sleeves or placing your hands in your pockets or adjusting your shirt, even the fact that you can see the actual clothing that the person is wearing actually made me, even with the face being placed obviously over top of the headset, it still made me feel more like I was talking to a real person, not just an avatar. And I'll be honest, the longer we were in there talking, the more I think we realized the different things that you can do in this. For instance, Don had a dog and he brought the dog over and it was running around his feet. He picked up the dog and you could see the dog in virtual reality. So I could actually see the dog moving around. It actually masked out the dog. So I could see when he was holding it out, petting it, the tail was wagging, which was kind of mind-blowing. And even with the things that are happening with the frame rate and the face not fitting perfectly over top of the headset all the time, it was things like the fact that I could pick up a prop that I had laying around and show it to him and he could actually see it. It was surprisingly mind-blowing in a way that I wasn't actually expecting. I really wasn't sure what to think of the software jumping into it. I just knew what it was supposed to be. We spent a good portion of time inside of Kokomo by Canon, and switching the environments was really cool, but I found the environments were a cool place to be, but the talking back and forth is what really wanted me to experiment and really see how things were going. It was kind of breaking my brain a little bit because I knew in my mind we were in VR, but then I was also seeing physical things that he was picking up from around his room, and it was a little bit mind-blowing, and I didn't even know. It was just a little bit mind-blowing. Jumping in and having a true face-to-face conversation was very different than I expected it to be, but not in a bad way. I actually feel in a different way like I was in a room with Don, had a conversation with him, and we interacted. Don't get me wrong, I love VR avatars, and I love everything about social VR, but having this true face-to-face conversation was a very different experience. And as I mentioned to Don in the call, even with the fact that the mask for the face scan kind of popped in and out and it moved kind of around on top of the headset and it wasn't always lined up and it wasn't always to scale, the fact that his eyes were there and they kind of moved and his mouth was there talking and I could see his facial expressions, it made me actually want to look at his eyes and talk to him like I would in real life and feel like I was looking at his eyes and talking to him like I would in real life. It's kind of a mind-blowing experience. You really need to try it just to test it out, just to see what's possible by bringing something like this into VR. I highly recommend checking it out. Go to the link in the description to the Discord for more information because really it blew my mind more than I expected it to, even with some of its shortcomings and some of the funny things that it did. Okay, so Kokomo by Canon is super easy to set up. All you gotta do is download the mobile companion app on your iPhone or your Android device from its respective store. Once it's downloaded, open up the application and create your account. Once your account has been created, you're gonna need to sync your headset with your account. So you're gonna go into the headset now once you've downloaded the application on your Meta Quest 2, and you're gonna find that it asks you to pair with the mobile companion app. So grab the pairing code and jump into the mobile application and enter in the code. Once the pairing is complete, that's pretty much all you have to do to start with to get it set up. Next, it's time to do the face scans. Jump back into the app on your mobile device, tap on the face scan button, and follow the prompts to scan your entire face using both a neutral, happy, sad expression and talking to the camera naturally for 30 seconds at the end, which will get natural movements of your face and your eyes. Once that's completed, you're going to submit that for processing. It doesn't really take that long to process. And once it's all processed, you'll be ready to jump into the Kokomo by Canon app on the Meta Quest 2 and enjoy some real face-to-face communication. A huge shout out and thank you again to Kokomo by Canon for allowing me access and sponsoring this video. There you go, there is Kokomo by Canon on the Meta Quest 2. Extremely easy to set up and to jump into. If you want to keep up to date with all things Kokomo by Canon, join the Kokomo by Canon Discord at the link down in the description. There'll be giveaways, new updates, and information. Join down at the link below to the Kokomo by Canon Discord. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to check out the Kokomo by Canon Discord community down in the description, and we'll see you next time. Happy questing.